Alrighty, today I'm joined by one of our instructors here, me too, and we're going to go ahead and talk about how to prepare for a product manager interview. With, I would say, generally speaking, how to prepare for a product manager interviewer with a head or director of product or somebody that is not the recruiter, somebody that you're actually going to be working with. Me too, how you doing over there?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Rich. How are you?
Wonderful. I can't complain. I can't complain. As of right now, I'm physically in New York. Uh, so this year has been a great big year of traveling. I'm happy to be locked down. It feels good to be back on the East Coast. I feel like I'm with my people. Uh, but by all means, fire it off. What questions do you have for me about how to prepare for interviews that the students are asking you?
Yeah, what are the best questions to ask the interviewer um at the get-go, right?
Right. So the best questions to go ahead and ask the interviewers, I think we can break that up into two major categories for the product manager interview. One is one are questions that you should be asking on every product manager interview, regardless of the industry or the stakeholder that you're interviewing with. Another is something that's very specific. So let's go ahead and actually talk about specific first, because you also want to make sure that this experience for them is very tailored, right? One of the premier reasons why our students are getting multiple offers instead of just one is because we really built out this a very repeatable and scalable process. The first thing you should always do when you're building out specific questions to ask the interviewer to establish real trust and rapport is going to be like they feel like this was a very targeted job application. You should absolutely look them up on LinkedIn and you should add them as a connection. When you add them on a connection, you should include a connection message saying, "Hey, Jane or Jerry, I am looking forward to our interview on Thursday at 2 o'clock." That's the first thing you should absolutely go ahead and do immediately. Why? Because you should always know who it is that you're interviewing with. If the recruiter is setting you up with somebody, you should know who it is. You usually see it on the calendar invite. Beyond that, it's people are like, "Oh, is that like appropriate?" No, you know
Mhm.
what's cringe? Looking at somebody's LinkedIn profile and they see Richard looked at your profile and you're like, "Richard, why does that name sound familiar?" Oh yeah, that's the guy I'm interviewing on Thursday, and you did not add them as a connection. That is actually feels more, I wouldn't say it's inappropriate, but it feels more unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely add them and send out the connection message. Hey, very much looking forward to speaking with you on Thursday. While you are doing that, you should actually scroll up and down their profile and look for something. Wow, you've been at this company for 16 years. Oh, you've been at this company for 20 years, or you just started this company for 4 months. And let's just say they're at an e-commerce company, and prior to that, they were at Shopify. So it shows any little thing that's showing that you are actually studying their profile.
Mm-hmm.
That's important because they should know that you take time, you take attention to detail. Uh, if there's anything that's personal about them, we help somebody get into a product manager role at Airbnb just by asking the very simple question because they're like, they actually posted up. LinkedIn right now, I feel like is also kind of like what Facebook was about 10, 15 years ago. A lot of times people post up a lot of personal things about them. Like, should I teach my kids skiing first or should teach my kids snowboarding first? My wife and I do both. So we actually had somebody immediately build trust and rapport when they said, so did you guys actually figure out? I saw on your post when I added you as a connection whether you're going to teach snowboarding or skiing to the kids. We settled on basically both, and it was actually crazy. Usually they think boys like snowboarding and girls like skiing. Actually, ended up that my daughter likes snowboarding more, and then my son actually likes skiing a lot more, right? It's like, oh, cool. Out here in New York, I mean, were you guys passing by like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania? A lot of people go to like the Poconos. They actually talked about that for a little bit, you know. So little things like that, those very specific questions should always be very tailored to that individual as a person. making that like more of a conversation with the person. If you're talking about very general questions, you should start off in a very chronological order. Say, thank you so much, me too, for scheduling, taking some time out of your day to schedule a call with me. I know you must be so busy on top of that, especially at this time of the year. You must have so many applicants that you can talk to. What was it about my background that stood out to you so much that prompted you to want to schedule a call with me? We have to appreciate something here, why that question needs to be fired off first is because not everybody the recruiter recommends actually goes to the interview.
Mhm.
So when I was a recruiter, I would send over a lot of candidates over to the hiring manager. Some people that I thought were good, some people I kept around because I knew if they interviewed enough people, they would realize the people that they thought were going to be good was not, and I was going to be able to get my people in there. You really have to understand what your product market fit is. So the first question is, considering how busy you are at the end of the year and there's other applicants, surely you can't talk to everybody. Make it as conversational, sound as natural. You want to practice this a few times. Uh, there's so many people that you get interviewed, and I know from a lot of my friends who are recruiters, you don't have to, nor do you interview everybody the recruiter recommends to you. What was it about my background that stood out to you so much that prompted you to want to schedule some time to speak with me, right? So you're letting them tell you what they're interested about in you.
Mhm.
So just from there, they're like, you know, they kind of start going back into the momentum of like they were what it helps them remember why they were interested in you in the first place. A lot of times people forget.
Okay.
And also like when you go into a standard example is like when you go onto a Toyota lot, you basically ask the driver, the car dealership, why shouldn't I buy a Honda? When you go to a BMW lot, you're like, why shouldn't I buy an Audi? Because of why? You're protecting yourself from buyer's remorse. This is human impulse.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're helping as soon as you help them kind of remember, then you're also kind of helping them remember like what kind of questions they wanted to ask you because they just came out from putting some fire out there. You can't expect them to come up here. You've been thinking about this interview maybe for the past 7 days. They forgot this interview was supposed to go down up until 7 seconds ago. So you kind of have to like help them reorient themselves a little bit. The next question that you want to go ahead and ask is, oh, interesting. Why is that? You want them to elaborate. The more people are talking to you, that's why solitary confinement in a prison is such a cruel form of punishment. The more people feel like they can talk to you, the more comfortable they feel like they are with you. And then they already feel like they're working with you. A really good interview, I see all these books like Cracking the PM, it doesn't really work out because when I was a recruiter, what I observed was this. A really good interview is a really good conversation. And a really good conversation is that person is talking a lot. They feel like, wow, I really feel like I could talk to this person. And they're like, I feel like I'm really comfortable with this person. That was the feedback that I would always get when I was a recruiter. So if they feel that, yeah, uh, I really feel like I could talk to this person, right? I feel like I had a connection with that person. 100%. So getting them to talk, that's why like the late night television show hosts like a Jimmy Fallon or like
Mhm.
Jimmy Kimmel, it's
Mhm.
actually such a difficult job because you got to get sometimes these celebrities want to talk, sometimes these celebrities don't. You got to go ahead and get them to talk to you because
Mhm.
ultimately the audience came out to see them, not you.
Yeah.
So if you're on there, they got to go ahead and like Leonardo DiCaprio's like, I'm here. What do you want me to do? Right. You got to go out there and draw it out of them. So actually one of the assignments that I actually have some people do sometimes for the very introverted software engineers that are in our program. So I was like, watch some of the late night television and see how it is that they get these people to talk to them. Because if they actually feel like Jimmy Fallon's notorious for getting people to like come out and like really laugh hard, they got to
Mhm.
feel comfortable. They got to feel comfortable with you in order to go out there and move forward with an offer, right? Next question that you're asking for after that is nobody really knows who they want, but people know who it is they don't want. If you ask a hiring manager, like, so who do you think is going to be the best person to go out there and be on your team? As a recruiter, They never ever give you a good answer. When you ask them like, so who don't you want? Oh, they can talk about that shit all week. This is actually how almost every single dating app that was smaller with less budget and less financial resources was able to beat Tinder or rival Tinder, was asking their users, what don't you like about Tinder?
Mm,
Right. Very standard strategy for interviewing customers from your competitors as a product manager. So when you ask them a question, so I like to ask this question to every hiring manager that I interview with because this has got to be a good fit for both of us.
mhm,
What are some of the negative experiences that you've had in the past working with new product manager hires that you're trying
mhm,
to avoid? This is a very telling question because when people hire, they don't look for reasons to hire, they look for reasons to not hire. And that comes from this bias. Sometimes those bias are like, when I was a recruiter, I've had every type of head of director or product client that you can go out there and imagine. Though some of them will say like, yeah, I love people transitioning to product from investment banking. They're so sharp. They're so whatever. It's like, oh no, I only hire software engineers. Or like, oh, I think software engineers that are product managers are like the worst. They all have some kind of negative bias, and that just comes from their very short span even in like a span of like 5 or 6 years, most people only work with their coworkers for about 18 months. So it's actually not that much data compared to like somebody like myself in recruiting. Uh, I lost track north of like 400, 1,000, how many people I placed out. I could probably give you better data of like, do software engineers actually make for better product managers, right? But for most product managers, even in the course of a decade, their bias comes from a very small data set. And
mhm,
once they actually have that purview, they don't really change it because they don't have the resources to hire more people to figure it out. You don't get a budget of like, why don't you hire like 3 product managers, especially in this market, to A/B test who's going to work out for me? So you really want to go out there and ask them like, what are some of the I want to make sure that this is going to be a good fit for you and me. That shows selection, that shows you have options, and you want to go ahead and also ask them, so what are some negative experiences that you had in the past working with new product manager hires that you're trying to avoid? Oh, that is a very revealing question because there's a lot of if you're asking, can you write a roadmap? Can you write a PRD with AI? I don't think we have a shortage of those people out in the marketplace. So why are so many of those people not getting hired, right? They have those biases. You got to go out there and figure that out. Okay, in a perfect world, now you help them dream build. You knock them down and you help build them back up. In a perfect world, in an ideal scenario, what would be the most perfect like working arrangement with you and the new product manager hire?
mhm,
Monday to Friday. Like tell me in like, how would you like it? Huh. Well, now all of a sudden I feel like if you're asking me like, well, what do I want? Well, it could it be anything? People love talking about what they want. People won't shut up about it, right?
mhm.
Well, it was like, huh. It's like, oh, okay, let me go out there and help you kind of roadmap this situation. When you take a look at my job as a new product hire is to make your life easier. Mhm. There's
Yeah.
honestly nothing that I can do that you cannot do, given that you had more time and energy. So when you take a look at your calendar for the last 5 days, what were some of the things what are some of the meetings or activities that you wish really shouldn't be on there?
Mm,
Oh man, it's like when you're actually almost talking to them. Somebody actually mentioned this to me. We recently helped somebody in LA land a product manager job with their Disney. He's like, Rich, you're kind of talking to them like a coach. That's exactly what it is that you're doing. Really, honestly, the highest paid product managers I think are really just therapists with a little bit technical and AI background, right?
mm,
Is like, you don't have to go to every single meeting. You don't have to host every single stand up. You don't have to go out there and put together every dashboard and all this kind of stuff. Like you can delegate that. A lot of times, I would say some of the most successful product managers, they're helping their higher ups delegate to other people so they're not doing all the work. you know? So that's also another great question to go out there and ask, like, how would you like your Monday to Friday to be? Huh, I never really thought about that. Okay, why don't we go ahead and remember when we ask people what they want, they usually don't know. When you ask people what they don't want, oh, they can be it'll asking somebody what they want can be very misleading because sometimes people lie to themselves because often people don't know what they want. This is actually why, like, when I was a recruiter, why I had such a successful placement rate was because a lot of recruiters would ask, like, tell me who you want. Like, okay, I want this like MBA grad. Okay, we'll get you 15 MBA grads right now. And then what ends up happening? No, 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 no. And then they always end up hiring the opposite person, right? That doesn't help anybody out. That's just wasting a lot of time. But when you ask somebody, what don't you want? Okay, so let's take a look at your calendar here. Taking a look at your calendar for the last 5 days, the last 10 business days. What were some of the meetings you really didn't need to go on? What were some of the activities that took up the most amount of your time and energy that really doesn't need to be there, right? How can I go out there and help you take that off so that you can focus on your job is to focus on two things as my boss. Number one, the things that only you and only you can do. Nobody else can do it. That's only you can do. Number two, the things that you enjoy doing. If you can go out there and basically clean up the clutter so that somebody can just you feel like you're helping them achieve more productivity and you can take everything else off, it makes the interview so much easier because now all they're telling you, the interview comes out to like, okay, perfect. Where have you been my entire life, right? This is what I don't want to do. This is who I don't want to talk to. This is what I need you
Mhm.
to do for me. And now the conversation is just easier. You understand? It just becomes easier because when they ask you a question, like everything comes back to how does this person serve my own selfish interests? This is
Mhm.
what makes our program pivotally different and more successful by ocean in the marketplace is when, and I get challenged by this with a lot of our competitors. When somebody's asking you the question, how do you resolve conflict between two developers? What they really mean to say is, we have two engineers that's on our development team right now. I would fire these two guys if I could, but I can't. And every Wednesday, like clockwork, usually now is happening so often, it's like on a Tuesday, they would get into a fight or a disagreement, and I would have to come in and resolve that. And that takes up 3 hours of my day, right? And I don't need that. And it carries over to the next day because of the energy loss, right? So how would you resolve that? You know, when we take a look at every single question, it just goes back to them selfishly. When a lead engineer is asking you, how do you write a product requirements document? Honestly speaking, what they really mean to go out there and ask you is, can you write a product requirements document the way that I want you to write it for me?
Yeah.
Right?
And how would you know?
Right, right, right. So the best way for you to do that is you demonstrate competence first by saying, well, it really depends what it is that you want me to. And I'll give you two examples. For one engineer that I used to work with, they wanted their product requirements doc this way, and I can show you an example of that. And another one, they wanted it written this way. Either or is fine with me. Why don't you tell me exactly how you want me to write the product requirements for you? I've also worked with engineers before where they wanted to write the product requirements with me. And I've also worked with software engineers that they didn't, they wanted me to actually send over a Loom video explaining to them exactly what I wanted with visuals, right? I can do it the way that you want me to do because what they're thinking about is this. PRD comes in via Slack. I open it up. I'm like, what the F is this? And then I just look at it and I'm pissed off because I feel like I'm not getting paid enough to deal with this nonsense. And then
Mhm.
I don't want to do anything else, right? Or it always goes back to something selfishly is aggravating them.
Right.
you know, and what aggravates them more is, the more time I have to spend working, a lot of engineers secretly, they want to build their own stuff and they want to get out. the more time and energy that I'm spending on this job that's only getting me through 9 to 5, living paycheck to paycheck, the less time and energy I have working on something that's going to get me out of this life. And I want to hurry up and do that so I can make the money so I can go out there and live the life that I want to live, which is like your backdrop. Right?
Yeah.
Seriously, everything is like it goes back to nobody's happy with their life. They always want to go ahead and just get more something. So when you talk to the person, I guess what makes me very successful as a salesperson is as I take a look at this person here. Do they want more time? Do they want more money? Or do they want more recognition? We've gotten 3 people this year, as we showed you, right, into streaming companies. And one of the things about the streaming companies is we found out almost all of them have a film screenwriting or film minor.
Okay.
So I think they'd rather be spending their time doing that than product management, right?
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, like, okay, this job is just a job. I've met very few people that truly love product management as a profession, like a Michelin star chef is obsessed with product man, like cooking. So this job it puts a certain amount of money on the table that provides them with a certain lifestyle. But don't get it twisted. If they won the lottery tonight, they will not show up to work in the morning.
Yeah, right.
This is not this is not like some passion project. This is not art, So I tell you right now, I won the lottery tonight. You guys won't see me on another coaching call either. I'm out. So this is also a job, right? So like, hence why I'm coming back to New York. This is actually where the money's at. But like, your job is your job is to selfishly uncover what does this person really want and help them get that. Maybe it's getting that promotion for them. Maybe it's getting them more time so they can work on their own thing. Whatever it is, I can promise you, being a director or head of product or group product manager, that is not their end all. And honestly, I would think that I play a little game with myself where if you take a look at this interview assignment, what you should tell the students here is when you take a look at the interview assignment as stretching a muscle to really uncover human nature, and if you develop a very sincere curiosity about human nature, it will be more fun for you than, oh, how am I going to go out there and close this person? you know that's like the best, like it has to come from a place of curiosity. Otherwise, like if there's a lot that you cannot control. How you're going to get what you want out of them is figure out what they want out of you,
Mm.
get what it is they really want.
That's a good tactics because often they will come up as tell me a little bit about yourself, you.
Yeah, because everybody everybody has I mean, I spent a year and a half in South Korea, right? I have a very legit team to have been able to do that. But they knew, my team that knows me knows I love that country. That's actually where I want to be all the time. So like this is just like, I mean, money is like a means to go out there and acquire what you really want as a resource. So the way that people not only get the product manager jobs at the best companies, but the way that the people actually move up the ranks in the shortest amount of time. What I've noticed working in recruiting, and I talk about it with my friends here in New York and the West Coast all the time, is sometimes people refer to it as like, oh, like I hate playing the game, or like I don't want to play the game, or he doesn't like playing the game. Is like nobody likes playing the game. But the reality is, I think you've been in the game long enough to know the people that often get promoted are not exactly the best performers.
That is true. They know how to play it right, like
So like, and On the flip side of that coin, the people that are getting laid off in times like this, because I talk to people that's been in the tech game for a while, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst layoff," or "This is like my longest layoff." This is like tech, you work until you get laid off, and usually when you get laid off is when a bunch of other people are getting laid off, and it's a cycle. And once it cleans itself out, like everybody's back in the game, right? Is like a lot of times the people that are getting laid off, they're also not the lowest performers either, or the worst performers, right? So playing the game really, it not only can help you advance, it can also save you from being put on the street. Because I do know when the layoff time comes, I've been a part of those conversations before where they're like, "Oh man, that guy's so funny. Like, there's no way we can put him out. Like, let's go out there and see if we can switch a few names around on the spreadsheet." This is actually why like having a very good relationship with your HR department is so important.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, like it's very political. I have a friend that's a police officer here in New York Police Department. If you want to get up the ranks, I can, like, from what he tells me, he can assure me it's just like moving up the ranks in any other company. You do have to hang out with certain people after work. So when they're like, who should we go up? There's only so many more spots up, and it's a triangle, right?
Yeah.
And they're thinking, you know what? Let's give it to Jerry. Dude, he earned it. Come on. Meanwhile, there's been another guy. He's been working really hard, but he
Right.
isn't playing the game, right? So when you're on the interview, I want you to have people tell themselves, if you're thinking about how do you get this job for you, you'll go out there, your chances of losing is going to be higher. If you are going on to the interview thinking like, how do I help this person win? Your chances all of exponentially gone up. This is why on our offers channel, we are the only school that's saying multiple offers over and over and over and over again. Because when we're on this call, when we're on this call, like, you know, uh, somebody that I remember when we got into Meta, you know, they interviewed with them. They're like, wow, it's been so awesome. Like you've been at Meta for like 8 years, you must absolutely enjoy it. And the person's body language was like, yeah, I mean, it's great, It's like, you don't seem that excited to be at Meta. I'm so sorry. I'm just really excited to interview at Meta and like having a possibility of joining Meta as a product manager. Do you not like what you're working on? You Honestly, and the guy just decided to say like F it. I'm just gonna tell you like I'd much rather be working on VR.
Hmm.
How do we make that happen for you? And the dude that was actually interviewing with him, he actually came from a sales background and just took the interview in a completely wild direction. He's like, that's a very interesting question because that's what he wants to do is VR. So let's talk about that. How do we get you there? Right. So a lot of times people for the past 8 years, even here meeting the students, past and new students here in New York, they're like, oh, your job, honestly, in any job is to help whoever it is that you're talking to get what they want. It's all about making them feel good. It's all about making them win. You take a look at like Google and Yahoo. Yahoo wasn't even able to sell their search engine for free.
True.
So when you go on there, I don't want you to think about, oh, what question should I ask first, second, third, right? This is actually how I train my admissions team too, and I'm very transparent about it. When we're on the call, it doesn't matter, this person, they don't really want to be a cybersecurity analyst. What they're thinking about is like, oh man, I get this certification. I can finally quit my job at Whole Foods. Right? It'll be more money. I can work
Yeah.
remotely. It's getting colder. I won't have to shovel snow driving into the city. Right? They're thinking like, wow, that'd be pretty amazing. Like, I get to work as a cybersecurity person and I get to work from home, right? Your job, there's so many things you could do working from home. I just don't think there's that many people that's like passionate about cybersecurity, like a Quentin Tarantino's passionate about making a really good movie. They're
Hmm.
thinking like, I'm gonna have more time with my kids, how wonderful it's gonna be. I can pick my daughter up from school, I can drop her off. we can go out there and like afford a few family trips. Like you're all talking, we're not talking about cybersecurity here. We're spending all of our time on that phone call talking about what they want, right? Software engineers in the Bay Area, it's a very hilarious. They used to always tell us like, like what is your placement rate into big tech and all that? And I was like, honestly, we can lay out all the stats, but what we do here is why do you want to work in big tech? You're already making X amount of money in software engineering. The majority of the people we talk to in New York, they're looking at product as a gateway job to get into tech. You're already in tech. You already work as like with product managers, right? So honestly speaking, if you wanted to be a product manager, all you really got to do is just tell HR or your boss and say you're interested, and they'll put you on the track. It's like, well, I really want to work at Meta because I heard at Meta they have a really good culture. Like if you want to go ahead and say, hey, me too, can I grab lunch with you? I can. Oh, so it's about community. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So they always have this thing, right? Somebody like, recently we got somebody into TikTok, and for them it was because like, well, so why do you want to get into like company like TikTok? I'm like, well, honestly, I'm Chinese, came here as an international student. I want to stay in America. I want to work for an American company, but I also want like the opportunity to go out there and travel. And if I want to spend like 3 months out of the year in China to see my parents, I can. Oh, well, if we're having that conversation, okay. Well, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to be the only one question that you should ask yourself is, and the only really real question that really matters at the end of it is, I don't care if you're interviewing with Netflix or JP Morgan. People are people. Like, what do you want? What's important to you? And let's find out, okay, what are we going to go ahead and do about it? So
Mm-hmm.
if you make that conversation all about them, then you win. That's why like people that are like, oh, I'm scared to put my face out there, but I don't have like this background. It's like, what about all the people that already have that background? Why are they not getting the job? Is because I don't feel like that person's gonna help me get what I want. Because if you feel like somebody's gonna make a difference in getting what you want, you're gonna do that.
Right.
So yeah, any questions, comments, follow up for me? I think this is actually like for me, I always some people tell me it's my superpower because it comes like very natural to me. But like for me, I just think it's just a very natural way when I like view a human interaction is like, how do I get you guys what you guys want? You know?
Yeah.
Uh, what other questions do you have for me?
How to set up what does the next steps in the interview process look like?
Perfect. So that's the part that I forgot. And you know what the cool thing is? Uh, I forgot about it just now. And if you didn't remind me, this is actually one of the parts that you should write down. I have so many people that say in the program, like, Rich, they talk about it like a great first date. Like, oh, we had a great call, and they introduced me to some people, even at the office or on the Zoom. And then you didn't set up. So here's what you want to go ahead and do. Before they let you go, and you want to be very intentional by watching the clock. Okay, Rich, I had such a great time talking to you. Before I let you guys go, I know you guys are going to be really busy, and people, we took a bunch of photos on Monday. We still haven't even uploaded to any of the event photos, right? It's always the follow up. So
Yeah.
you got to follow up. You got to follow up. And the co-working space, the WeWork that we did it, they've been following up with us because they wanted to say like, yeah, Elevate was here in New York. You want to say, hey, if so what are the next steps in the interview process from now until the offer? So you want to know what else is happening. And a lot of people actually don't know this, but if you actually ask for the case study, just like the photos, they can give it to you right now. Okay, yeah, so the next round is actually a case study. Oh, perfect. Can you just email it over to me right now? 9 out of 10 times you're like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. Like we always just do manual onboarding, like right there on the spot. Because I know if we don't do it, even myself included, I'm gonna call myself out. You're gonna forget it. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and send that over to you, Madison. Because if I don't do it right now, I will 100% forget. Okay, perfect. And then what's the next step? It's like, so you got one call with me with Rob, and you got another call with Norman. That's it. And okay, can we go ahead and set that up? Yeah, right. Lock down your own appointments. And if they say no, okay, so today is Thursday. If I don't hear back from you guys by Friday, I'm going to give you guys a call back on Monday.
Yeah.
And always grab their email afterwards because you got to send out a thank you email. And if you
Right.
send out a thank you email and you don't have their emails, can I also go ahead and get your email so I can send I'll tell you right now, but I feel like I always call me old school. I like to send out a thank you email. No, yeah, you don't have to do that. But here's my email, right? Rob at like shopify.com. Uh, Set out the next steps because that also differentiates you.
Mhm.
Most people are afraid to ask for it because they're thinking to themselves, like, well, what if there is no next steps? Well, what do you want? I think you want a next step. So
Correct.
when you're doing that, you're already establishing the confidence. Every president candidate, left or right, has always, when I'm president, they never say if.
But not
Right.
yes.
They always say when, right? I mean, if you don't think you're gonna win, you shouldn't really be out there anyways. You're wasting money. You know, like no point getting humble right now. Because you're already kind of putting it out there that you're gonna like lose. You should be all in, right?
Mhm.
So like you should absolutely like when we came out here to New York or when we ever go to like any other location, we always say, yeah, when we're coming back here like in January, coming back here like in February, like well, like if we were gonna go out there and say like, oh yeah, we're gonna come out to London and then see what's gonna happen. You could have done that from a Zoom call, you know?
Mhm.
Like we're here because we're coming back, like
Yeah.
so the confidence, you should go out there and do it again. Next steps is I would actually really encourage people to just go out there and watch this video. Like the people that you're coaching too, like encourage them to go out there and watch the video and really like practice and like visualize that just like a sport, every athlete, like the Dodgers went back to back. And we're really proud of that for all of us that are from LA. They really envision like exactly how it's going to go down every single step of it.
Mhm.
We've gotten people into the top level companies. Like you should envision like them picking up the call. It's so funny because like theoretically, statistically speaking, we know our own conversion rate here is like one out of every seven people that book a call with us, it ends up enrolling. But for whatever reason, like every now and then I'll hop on a call and I always enroll. And they're like, Rich has like near 100%. And I'm like, I literally envision that person enrolling by the end of the call. They ask the questions like, all right, Rich, I'm in. What are the next steps? If you're already coming in here telling yourself, if you're already coming in here telling yourself like, oh, this is gonna be a waste of time, it's gonna be a waste of time. I already seen it enough.
Mm.
Because I used to host this stuff in person.
Think you just froze up.
Oh yeah, can you hear me now?
Marriage.
Did I freeze?
Yeah,
Uh,
for a second. Yeah,
okay,
for a few
yeah,
seconds.
yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up, right?
Hmm.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, like you should absolutely just think to yourself, like, you're gonna go out there and close this. And then also just get back into telling people like keep booking more interviews. More and more and more and more and more interviews.
I have one coming up with the hiring manager next week.
100%. Like just keep booking because like honestly speaking, like this is you're in the infinite race. Like interviewing right now cannot stop even post placement. It's never over. People
The
should
con
constantly be interviewing, 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 interviewing. There should be like I think doing 3 to 4 interviews a week should almost be like equivalent to going to the gym at least 3 to 4 times a week. Yeah. And you should always see something that what's out there, and if there's something good or better, just grab it. Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
an infinite race. So this way, like nobody ever has to like go chasing again. Um, cool.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for your time. I think we went over time, but
100%,
yeah.
100%. This is not like this is honestly like I think when it clicks for people, that's why they get like two, three, four, five, six, seven offers. And they're just like, oh, wow. It's like, yeah, honestly, good products like Slack doesn't run IG ads. Slack does not need to convince you to use Slack.
Right.
If you're very product focused, and it constantly improving the user experience, like the people will keep coming back for it. You're offering real value, right?
Mhm.
So the best value a product manager can offer as a new product management hire for a team is helping everybody that they're talking to get what they want.
Mhm.
That's it, both on the job and off the job. you know, when you're like coming into, I think in sports, or when I consult other sales teams for other boot camps, I always ask the person that they want me to coach and train up, what's important to you? Like, yo, I'm gonna be real with you, Rich. I have a 2-month-old daughter. We got to turn this thing up. Like
Yeah,
there's always something, and I almost always found out that it's either more money or more time.
true.
You either
Time is
want more
also
money.
money. Your time is also money.
It's almost, yeah, time is also money, right? But even for the people that's making a lot of money, then it's about getting a lot more time back. you know,
True. Mhm.
like so yeah, I think the more you do it, the more it's just gonna go out there and click for you. And if you take a look at this, like you're stretching out, like you're working out your abs, like the stronger you get at this muscle.
Right.
I would say the thing is the people that have gotten the best offers at the coolest companies, they really take a look at this as just a part of their normal day life now. they're like getting they're bagging in the best offers, but they're like, yo, Rich, I feel like this is a superpower. Like I'm like utilizing these skills when I'm talking to my engineers. I'm utilizing these skills when I'm talking to like investors, right? When I'm
Mhm.
talking to somebody that's representing the VC, it's like what I really figured out is like, that team in the VC chose to invest in us and they really need a win because the other 8 companies that's part of the umbrella
Mhm.
they're not doing well, so they need one big win, you know. So like he's like yeah, like I'm like always like tuning into that muscle. Even when I was out here in New York, the co-working space, I was talking to them about what's important to them. They're like, we want AI hackathons here. They're like, we want VCs to come here. We want this place. Like when people think AI, they're thinking this location, Rich. You know, we're not thinking, and when we actually ended up talking about it, that's when they're like, they gave us a legendary rate because I was like, I want to bring these influencers in here. I want to bring the VCs in here. I want to go out there and promote this space too. And they're like, oh, well, now they see like instead of some Asian guy churning them for that absolute discount, they see it as like, oh, this is a partnership, yeah, because you guys are gonna grow too, and we're gonna grow together, right? So, yeah, I think everybody's gonna do absolutely fine. It's not rocket science, as you can see. People are still very much hiring. I mentioned the Capital One. They threw up 2 webinars in October. Apple, November 12th, is throwing up, it's a week from right now, they're throwing up a mixer. Companies, like, they're looking for top quality talent, and quality talent doesn't just mean AI skills, it also just means good human empathy, because that
Mhm.
also signals to them if this person has the human empathy to get to know me better, that
Mhm.
means we have a shot at building things that customers would actually like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you go in there too much about yourself, it's like, yeah, I can offer you the job, but I'm most likely going to end up on a product management webinar on how to get a job with you for Product Gym in 3 months when we haven't built anything,
Mhm.
right? Cool. I got to go ahead and run. Let me know how
Thank
everything
you.
goes. I'll talk to you very, very soon. All right.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Bye.